We've got eyes everywhere, but first, let's go ahead and bring in Fox Weather hurricane specialist Bryan Norcross. All right, Bryan, good morning to you. I mean, a downgrade in intensity for Erin, still quite large and messy out there. And I think one of the things that's interesting, as you probably know, we had several rip current and dangerous surf rescues out of North Carolina yesterday. And you still have Erin hundreds of miles away to the south.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where the language we use fails us because we use this word major hurricane to mean category 3 and above, but a major hurricane would exclude Hurricane Ike, for example, that wiped out the Bolivar Peninsula just northeast of Houston there, or east of Houston, and also would wipe out Hurricane Sandy, which obviously did tremendous damage on the Jersey Shore and all along the New York and New England coast. Both of those were minor hurricanes in our not very clear language that we use for these things. So anyway, the fact that it's 110 mile an hour category 2 is not relevant to the big threat with this storm, which, like Ike and Sandy, is the water being moved in the ocean up toward the shoreline. Thankfully, this is not going to make landfall like those two storms did, so it won't be at that scale, but still at a large scale. So 110 miles per hour, moving northwest slowly, and this slow movement is normal as storms make the turn, and then it'll start picking up speed eventually, but it's going to take a little while. So the slow movement, the main issue with the slow movement is it's putting the energy in the ocean for longer, and we have more swells and energy going toward the coast, and that's what causes these rip currents, and it's going to cause the higher water levels, especially up around the Carolinas and the North Carolina, the Cape Hatteras area and so forth. Talk more about that in just a second. Pressure is up to 958, so that's it's all good. That part's good, is that weaker is better than stronger, but bigger is more important than stronger in terms of causing problems in the ocean. Here we can see what's going on. Notice if we draw a line right here, the clouds look like they have a completely different character up in here. That's because a lot of dry air has been pushed in here by upper level winds. So the models have been talking about the hostile upper level winds for the next another 6 hours or so from now, or 6 to 12 hours, and then they should let up some, and that's why the Hurricane Center actually is calling for a slight increase in wind speed, even with this slow movement and this growing storm. So here's where we are right now, just so you can see how close the tropical storm force winds, 40 mile an hour plus winds, are to the islands, but it's pulling away, so things are going to improve in the islands there today. You can see about just over 200 miles from the center now, just keeps growing and growing and growing. So here's the idea that it moves north, and maybe in this area here with very warm water, those hostile upper level winds let up. Also, we're getting this dip in the jet stream coming along. That can tend to energize the storm just a bit. So that's where you see the 115s in this area here, just before the jet stream really takes over, and then it'll kind of rocket on out to sea. But it's going to sit around from today, Tuesday, through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're still going to have effects here on the northeast and New England coast. So we've got a long way to go here this week. So there's where we are. Remember that the yellow area, the tropical storm force winds, 40 mile an hour winds. Here you can see still, so we have some alerts down there in the islands, but they'll be gone later today. And we're going to focus on now on the U.S. East Coast. Here it comes north. So here we are tomorrow evening, and you see that the flow coming around like this is really pushing water now toward Cape Hatteras, Pamlico Sound, and so forth across that very vulnerable area there in eastern North Carolina. And we have the tropical storm watch in effect for that coast because it's right there on the edge. Now, if the storm were a little bit farther to the left over here, the center, you can see this would come in a little more, drive a little more water into the tidewater. That's Chesapeake Bay, or maybe a little farther south. So exactly where the storm is a close call for eastern North Carolina. So they have this tropical storm watch up from the northern end of Cape Hatteras Hatteras down to Cape Lookout, more or less. So that's just to be aware of the winds will be picking up in that Wednesday time frame until the storm goes on by. And the storm surge watch. A storm surge watch means we could get storm surge, the water level rise more than 3 feet above the normal high tide. In this case, their forecast there is 4 feet on Cape Hatteras, on Hatteras Island and the surrounding areas, and 3 feet on a much larger area, including back inland some. Here you can see the areas. Look where we go, all the way down to south of Myrtle Beach for up to 3 feet above normal high tide. Now, a lot of places are going to be fine with that, but not everywhere, especially right along the coast, and that causes a lot of beach erosion. Notice up here to Virginia Beach in the tidewater as well, up to 3 feet above normal high tide there. All right, so here's how we visualize this energy in the water. And we've been doing this the last few days, if you've been with us. Where the white is down here, that's where the core of the hurricane is really churning up the water, and we're getting the ocean really sloshing. So those are waves in the ocean. So you have the dip and you have the top of the trough and the peak, right? And that distance, that's the height of the wave. So when we look at wave height here, this is this morning. Look at the whites. The whites are up here in the 30 to 35 foot range. That's a lot of ocean, right? But think of that as energy that's radiating out through the water. So that's what all this is. This is the radiating out energy here. And then it comes up against the coastline and we get big waves. So here we go. Here we are this morning, and it's starting to press in. And you talked about the rip current rescues in North Carolina. It's because you don't anticipate how strong this current is that's coming out of the hurricane, the energy coming out of the hurricane. So it's on the southeast coast this morning. Watch as we go, and it's just going to increase there through the day today into tomorrow. And remember, this is the wind. So the wind is onshore here, but the energy radiates from the storm more directly like this. So we have, in this case, the wind and the energy both pressing on this coastline as high waves eroding and lots of issues. Okay, now we go to tomorrow, late tomorrow into Thursday morning. And look, now we have it all coming here on the north side. This is why they have storm surge watches up there, because this is going to put a lot of pressure there. And then moving north, and now we go from the tidewater all the way up to New England, including Long Island, New York, and the Jersey Shore, and all those areas on Thursday. And then finally, it moves out to sea. But it takes a while, guys, for the ocean to settle down, because you put a lot of energy in that basin, and it's moving around, and it's going to be into the weekend before things really settle back. Guys?
Yeah, a bit impressed, too, by just how much slower that we have Erin moving off to the northwest, too, this morning. And as that storm is going to grow in size, this isn't a storm that's going to be going away anytime soon. All right, Fox Weather Hurricane Specialist Bryan Norcross, appreciate that analysis this morning. Thanks.